Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Open Table Adventures. As always, I'm Dan the Baker, and we are back here today with another episode of Table Talks, our series where I sit down and talk with some amazing TTRPG content creators from across the internet. Today, I have with me the lovely Grace. Grace, hi, how are you?
Hello, and I'm doing good. I said to you before we started recording, I'm a little nervous, but that's kind of my default at this point, so it's fine.
You're speed nervous. You're fine. It's fine. We're fine. Why don't we start off? Tell us a little bit just about who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Grace. I go by Grace or Ghosty, or some people in the TTRPG space now call me Gracie, which I haven't been Gracie since I was like 3, so that's kind of cool actually. My pronouns are she, they. My handle is ghostlightG everywhere except for Twitter, because Twitter was weird and somebody already had my handle, so I'm ghostlightGrace on Twitter. I'm a musician, and I play tabletop games, and I mostly just kind of exist at the moment, but trying to do a little bit more. A little bit by bit.
Yeah, hey. Cool. Just existing is hard enough on its own. It's okay to just exist for a little bit. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. It's weird how our friendship started, because our friendship started by the fact that we did not meet at PAX Unplugged. I'm pretty sure was how that worked.
Yeah.
And then we were like, I guess we just make up for that by getting to know each other online.
The funniest thing is, I guarantee we were in the same room at several points.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you go to the Marriott on Saturday?
Probably. That was so long ago. I don't remember.
It was a while ago.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh my god, there's definitely several occasions where I'm like, we've been in the same room.
I did not get
like that actually. Dan Pixel, I've also never actually met, but both of us are like buddy.
I didn't get a origami dragon from you, which is fine, but
No, those are coming back. Those are coming back for Gen Con. So if you're going to Gen
good.
Con,
I am going to Gen Con.
Everybody's gonna get another one if you already got one, and I'm giving them out.
I think that is the thing.
Going with my friend.
Yeah, but that's the thing with conventions. I feel like it's so hard. There's just so many people, and you're like, oh, I want to meet everyone. And you're like, oh no, that means everyone. That's so hard to do.
Gen Con is so big.
Yeah,
I've been hearing. I'm like,
it's huge, because it's more than just TTRPG stuff too. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
I think. I don't know.
I've never been.
So neither have I. PAX Unplugged was my first game convention I've been to. So that's
That was my second PAX year. The first year I was just like, I'm just there to vibe, and the second year I was just like, I'm gonna say hi to friends. That's actually I met Wes. I met Arcane Anthems. And I went up to him and I meant to ask him a different question than what I ended up asking him, because I missed the composers panel. And so he happened to be on this random trivia thing that I went to on a whim, and I went up to him afterwards, and I was like, I ended up asking him something about his process, and that was not the question I meant to ask him. I don't remember what I meant to ask him, but that's what I ended up asking him, and then we ended up talking one-on-one for 45 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's how it goes.
Yeah, no. And then he was just we talked about music. I showed him a little bit of my stuff, and we ended up, I ended up sending him an email, because he was just like, send me an email, I'll add you to this Discord server, which is one of the most terrifying Discord servers I've ever been in and ever will be in, because Will Savino and Emmeline and Max and all these other amazing TTRPGs composers are in that server who know what they're doing, and they write beautiful music, and I'm like, I'm here. I don't know what I'm doing. It's fine.
Listen, I guarantee you those people also don't know what they're doing. That's the secret of being a creative, is that no one knows what they're doing. Everyone's flying by the seat of their pants. I was just talking, just interviewed Cinderbox Sally, and I think we said this off camera, but we were talking about how it's nice to see that everyone is kind of just playing it by ear a little bit. Everyone's kind of just nodding along and hoping that they'll understand in a little bit. Yeah.
PAX Unplugged 2023 was just Grace gets adopted by extroverts for a weekend.
Nice.
And met a lot of people that way, because the other I ended up hanging out with Emmeline, for a lot of Saturday, and then I also met Maisie Saturday night, the amazing Maisie Lynn, and who's just phenomenal and absolute queen of a human being. But like, I went, Maisie, I don't know anybody on Saturday, and Maisie was just like, I got you, and she like dragged me around, introducing me to like as many people as she could, which was really, really sweet of her. But she was like, this is my friend Grace. She's a really great creator. And I was just like, I met you 4 hours ago.
Yeah. You don't know my last name. Like, that's...
It's like, you are amazing. And it was great. And I got to meet Whitney again, Smoking Glue Guns.
I love Whitney.
Lovely. Human, just being... Everybody is so nice. That's like the one thing I can never get over, is that like everybody in the TTRPG space that I've met so far has been so incredibly nice, and then when I think about it for more than 2 seconds, it makes a lot of sense, because TTRPGs specifically, you have to make nice with people.
Yeah.
To do the things.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if
it's a
you're
social
like a
game.
game developer. It doesn't matter if you're like doing game development or if you're doing actual plays, or no matter what you're doing, you have to like make nice with people no matter what. Make nice feels like a bad way of phrasing that, but
no, but it's right. I mean. Yeah, it's right. Yeah. I'd love to talk about your music for a second, because I grew up playing music. I went to school for music before becoming a baker, and then whatever I am now. But where did you get your start, like in music? Like, how long have you been playing?
Apparently, according to my mother, we went to a choir concert, and I walked out singing at like 2.5, 3 years old, and she immediately signed me up for piano lessons, and that's kind of all she wrote. I did piano lessons. I started when I was 5, so I've been playing piano for almost 20 years now. That's weird. That's weird to think about.
Yeah.
I played violin from when I was 6 until I was 18. I still have my violin. I don't really play it anymore though. I stopped liking it. It became a lot. I was good though, which is the craziest thing about that. Picked up ukulele when I was 10. When we went on vacation, my mom was just like, "You know how to play violin? It's very similar." And I was like,
"Incorrect."
Picked up like the basics of guitar when I was like 13, and then just kind of kept going. Yeah, I was in lessons for a really long time. I was in a children's chorus outside of school that did basically like music theory lessons and choir. So it was like an hour of choir, an hour of like class basically, and then when concert season came up, it would be just 2 hours of choir. But by the time I got to high school, when I was picking AP classes, that's the only class I've ever taken out of sheer curiosity to see how it would do. And then but like the big thing that I got into when I was like 11 was I started getting into theater. And I did theater a lot, and I really wanted to be an actor, and I still kind of do, but as soon as it turns out, once you're not busy like doing 5 extracurriculars at the same time when you get to college, when you're not busy anymore and you're just focusing on like classes and figuring shit out, wow, does like a lot of stuff have the opportunity to be like, hi, actually, you're a really anxious human being.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how I just like went and auditioned and was doing all of this stuff when I was in high school. I do not understand how I was like letting myself go through that over and over and over again now as I am as a human being. Because I guess when I graduated high school and I wasn't doing a million things, my body was just like, cool, you're not surviving anymore. Welcome to the world.
It's like, oh, my heartbeat's not at 120 beats per minute. Oh, that means I'm dying. Like, it's, yeah.
No.
Yeah. Are you,
absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Do you get, like, stage fright often? Like, because I've seen videos of you, like, performing, like, in front of people, but is that, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's, like, right before I've started getting used to it now. There's a local open mic that I've been going to that's like every 2 months, basically. And I've been making myself go, basically. I've gone alone every single time because the one friend I have that lives nearby, unfortunately, their job just does not get out at around and the job and the commute just do not line up with like when it starts. My friend's like, I want to be there for moral support. However, life.
I'll be there in spirit. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Like I always tell, I've tell them every time I'm about to go, and every time I've gone, I've been on the phone with one of my friends that's that like lives far away. That's just like, you got this, and you're gonna be so great, and I'm just like, let's talk about anything else for like 10 minutes so I can not think.
That's I think I'm just a rare case of I've never been a person who got stage fright. Like I don't know why. Like I've just never because I've been performing since I was like 10, and I've never been I've always just it's not like I'm confident. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do amazing, but I'm just like, if I don't do amazing, it's fine. I'm not gonna die. Like that's kind of
What it's so funny because because this was the case before my anxiety was just like, hello, I am here. But it was always like smaller crowds made me more nervous when I could like see the faces, because I did once upon a time in the city that I live in, I was part of like the children's cast of Moscow Valley Nutcracker. My dance studio was the studio that they got the children's cast from for Moscow Valley Nutcracker when they go on tour. That's how they get like the party kids and some other stuff. And so like I'd be performing on this huge stage in front of hundreds of people and I was fine. Like never got nervous about that. And then like we had something called Coffee House at my high school, which was basically like an open mic. People would do slam poetry, most people would sing. And I was always so nervous about that. It was also partially because it was the people I know. And I had a reputation at my high school for being like the musician, so I was just like, people are expecting to be good, and I'm like, but I don't think I am, because the imposter syndrome was running strong even in high school. So
yeah, it's something much easier to perform in front of strangers, like especially when you're like, oh, I'm never gonna see these people again. I could literally like shit my pants on stage, and I will never I will never have to see these people's faces, and they will never have to look at me and be like, that's the person who shit their pants on stage. You know, like that's
I think that's part of the reason I've been able to go to the open mics, because I've been meeting people, which is fun, and then I'm like, okay, bye, and then I never have to see them again. It's great.
And you've also like you've released your own music. I want to talk about like how that process has been.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's the funniest thing. I forgot to mention it. I'm on a podcast called Spells and Whistles. I completely forgot to mention it.
I was gonna get to that. Yeah.
I'm so good at chilling myself. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm on a podcast called Spells and Whistles. It's a D&D 5e actual play set in a homebrew steampunk world called the Inked Expanse. I've gotten so good at reading that copy that I just have it memorized now.
A recipe for them on this channel also.
Am I gonna...
Wink.
It looks really good. I want to try making it so badly. It looks delicious. But yeah, when we have a little world building thing that we do periodically called the World of the Inked Expanse, and typically I actually don't usually write anything for it. I was in the second one as like a voiceover, and typically I haven't really been writing for it, just because my brain and world building and the way that I approach world building is a little bit different, where I work on a really, really small scale. And we've been working on like pretty like a little bit larger scale things, or that it's like that, and also it's unfortunately just like not lined up well for me to be like, I need to sit down and write this thing that's gonna be out for an audience to hear. But the third one came around because it was Spells and Whistles' second anniversary, and I had been starting to write songs for the party anyway, because I like writing music, and songwriting is one of my biggest outlets of just like existing. If you follow me on TikTok, like wink wink, nudge nudge. Most of my stuff is really fucking sad, like because I write when I'm like not feeling great, which is funny because sometimes I'm like in a really good mood and I'm still writing like the angstiest shit. But I like the music I write for the most part, and I get to pull from a lot of inspiration for things, and D&D has been one of the biggest things that has inspired me to keep writing and keep creating, which is part of the reason why I'm like, this hyperfixation, I am never going to let it end unless something absolutely horrific happens. Which we haven't gotten there yet, and I don't think we ever will, and I'm just
Fingers
gonna knock
crossed.
on my desk for that. But yeah, World of the Inked Expanse 3 came around. We were doing stories based on our player characters, and I was just like, well, I have these songs. And I was the one editing that episode, so I went, hey, wouldn't it be funny if I just, like, released these? And did a Spotify release on the same day. And so, Everything Nothing, which was the first EP that I put out, is so stripped down. It's literally, it's me, my ukulele, and a little bit of EQing, and that's it. Because I'm so bad at production stuff. It's so hard. Audio production is just something I've like, it's so cool, and I respect the hell out of everybody who's like really good at sound design and mixing and mastering and all this stuff.
It's such a beast, though.
Incredibly bad at it. But I'm also so not in a place where I could like pay somebody to help me with it, so I'm just like, fine. So I just went ahead and I was just like, cool. Released music. Released 4 songs, and they're all based on the party for Spells and Whistles. And like with Wonderland, it was very much I wanted to release more music anyway, and was thinking and had been thinking about like, okay, what is a song that is really complete that I have ideas for? There was a story I put on my TikTok the day I was tracking Wonderland, the day I was recording Wonderland. That was just like, I have this idea, hold on to it. And then I provided no other context for the rest of the night because I was recording. And yeah, there's a few songs that I'm like, I want to work on those. But the executive is dysfunctioning and work has been bananas. So we're trying to work on that. But like one of the ones I really, really want to release is Wes did a beautiful version of a song that I wrote right after PAX Unplugged called Touch the Sky. Which I wrote that song on a whim because I was processing like feelings and existing post PAX Unplugged. And the original video is so rough. I had no voice when I did it, but I was like, my TikTok page often serves as like my demo for a song a lot of the times, and then like I'll do like a clean demo later, just like plain, no mixing, no really anything, just for me, just so I have it, and then we'll take it to like get an actual recording of it. But I really want to record like my own version of Touch the Sky at some point, and I haven't gotten around to it. But it's been like 5 months, so I really need to get on that. But yeah, no, that song was very special because it was also like, oh, hey. There was like Matt Denkels told me that he liked my song, and I had met him 2 days prior, and I was like, you're so cool. There's a lot of people that told me they liked that song, and I was like, you're so cool, what the heck? Like,
it's, having someone just compliment your work that you, like, when you respect them and, like, their work, and they're like, oh, I like what you're doing, you're like, how dare you? How dare you acknowledge me? Yeah. That's like,
my friend watched me, like, sink to the floor when I got a message being like, hey, this was really good, and I was like, nope, gone.
Yeah, fade out, exit stage left, pursued by bear, the whole deal. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, I go to a poetry group every couple of weeks, and there are some really amazing poets in there that I like really love their work and like respect what they're doing. And whenever they are like, "Oh, I really loved this poem," or like, "I really like what you're doing," I'm like, stop it right now. Stop flirting with me. Stop. Like, I can't deal with this.
Your poetry is really pretty, though. There's like a lot of really interesting imagery from like what you've sent me, at least. Like, little snippets that I've gotten your read.
Yeah, that's yeah. So you talked a little bit about just how you go about the writing process, kind of like a venting sort of thing. Are you just like a type where you'll just write, like you'll just sit down and write out a bunch of lyrics at once, or is this like you kind of like pick and choose your times kind of thing?
I kind of like, I do it as I go. When it comes to composing, that takes longer because I have to come up with stuff, but like that's fun. I don't do enough of that. I need to do more of it. I just executive dysfunction.
Yes.
Fucking A. But when it comes to writing songs, it kind of depends. Like Wonderland, I actually wrote in 2 sessions because last summer, summer 2023 in June, I did something that I was called like a setage or a stage. I never decided how I wanted to pronounce that acronym, which stood for a song every day in June. I did 30 songs in 30 days, and it was hell. And I'm heavily debating if I want to do it again, because on the one hand, I got a lot of really good song snippets. On the other hand, I was writing and posting something every single day in the month of June. Which was a lot. Like if you've never done like a writing challenge where you also have to like put it up, every single TikTok on my page has like thousands of takes before I decided on the one that was like good enough. But yeah, Wonderland, I wrote the first verse and the first chorus and the second verse in one sitting, and then like came back to it about a month and a half later. Everything on Everything Nothing I wrote in a single setting. Fastest I've ever written a song was 2 hours. Like it could take me 2 hours to write a song. It could take me like 12 hours. But typically I write things in a single setting. Because I do, like one thing I will say, is I do write fast once I am, like, in the zone.
It's a snowball, for sure.
Sometimes the writing process is I get distracted and I sing other songs for a good chunk of, like, however long I've given myself to write. But I sit down and, when my brain's like, do the thing. So I try to have an instrument on hand, usually, when that happens. And if I don't, voice memos are fucking magical.
Yeah, my main party trick is if you give me just like a vibe and like a couple of words in 5 minutes, I can write you a poem based on like that vibe so and using those words. That's like my like I would do that. I remember I would do that in high school on the way to like band competitions on the bus, where I'm like, if I'm sitting with one of my friends and I'm like, we're bored and it's 10 p.m. and we're like, we can't sleep because it's a gross bus. I'm like, just let me give me some ideas. I will write you something right now.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Actually, I wish I could write that fast. Poetry-wise, at least, I don't write a lot of poetry. Well, I mean, I guess I do, but
it's song lyrics, poetry. Like, it's a thin line.
Yeah, this is where does the line end?
What's the Taylor Swift album called? The Tortured Poets Department? Something like that. Anyways, moving on. I'd love to talk about how you first got in with Spells and Whistles. Because you said they just did. You just had your 2-year anniversary a couple weeks ago.
In February, which is crazy. So Meg Not Margaret, the lovely Meg Not Margaret, and I had been mutuals for like a year. We're so good at talking to people. But Meg put out a TikTok on like Friends Only, I think, that was like, hey, my friends that do this podcast are looking for a new cast member. And I basically just said, fuck fuck it, why not? It's just kind of like went from there, and like went through a little bit of like the most informal of interview processes, to the point where I'm like, I don't know if I could really call it an interview process. It was just like a vibe check.
Yeah.
Really? Of just like, do we mesh with you? Do we vibe with you? Kind of thing. We learned that Jay and I are basically the same human being. Very quickly, both of us are theater kids that did theater, like majored in theater in college, and then like still try to find ways that we do that now, and also just love stories and storytelling, which was really the whole reason I was like, fuck it, like I love telling stories, and I like making things, and I love making things with other people, so why not? It's been really fun so far. It's the biggest difficulty is we only play for an hour and a half, which is like we mentioned it a few times, but like we play as long as our episode is, basically, which for me is way too short. I'm used to like anywhere from like a 4 to 7 or 8 hour session. The very first time I played D&D for content, it was for Starlost, which is a Starlost Seas, now Starlost D&D, because they're moving away from Seas for future things, I think. I don't remember. They've told me. It's been a minute. But the very first one-shot I was ever in, the very first piece of like content I was in as like a TTRPG creator, was a 12-hour one-shot that was live. So I was, which like 12 hours of D&D, amazing. 12 hours of having to look like a human being on camera, little less amazing, I'm not gonna lie.
That's rough, yeah.
I was like, I want to be in my pajamas. I want to make tea. I want to go to bed. But it was really fun, and it was a really wonderful group of people. There's a bunch of Pokemon streamers who were like the other guests, and then it was like very much like a, here is everybody, and Grace is here. Nobody knew who I was except for the person who had invited me, who was the DM for that game. It's just the craziest thing. It was really fun.
That sounds fun.
Absolutely crazy, though.
I think the longest I've ever played was like 5 hours. I play with so many people that have ADHD that like, if we can't play longer than like 3 hours in general.
Such an incredible hyper-fixation for me. Like one of my DMs for one of the games I'm in 5 games right now, which is like crazy. I'm loving it. I'm also tired, but don't ask me how I got it to work. I don't know.
Barely is how. Yeah.
But oh, you're gonna have fun cutting this together.
I'm leaving all this in, so.
Amazing. Yeah, no, D&D is such a huge hyperfixation for me. And note-taking especially is like is part of how I stay engaged. You kind of noticed it with Storybake, even though I don't, like, even if I don't talk that much, I am still paying attention because there's like 2 pages of notes that are happening on my desk meanwhile.
Do you want to show them what you showed me before we started recording?
So I have, because I knew that like TTRPG history was going to come up, I have all of the notes I've taken in the last 3 years. I've been playing D&D for 6 years now. So like the last 2 or 3 years of notes, and then what's on top is actually like my original character sheet, because fun fact, I started in 3.5 and not in 5e. I played 6 sessions of 3.5, and then I went to college and learned how to play 5e because not a lot of people were playing 3.5, and the only person that was playing like anything remotely similar to 3.5 was somebody who was running a Pathfinder game or wanted to run a Pathfinder game whose vibes were not it. So we did not join the Pathfinder game. I really want to play Pathfinder though. It looks really fun.
I'm playing my first ever recorded session tomorrow for a podcast that I'm in. I don't know if it'll be out by the time this is out, but you know,
That's gonna be fun. That'll be super fun.
So I'm excited for that. Pathfinder is fun. Pathfinder is, it's basically, to me, it's like, from like having like a MacBook laptop to then building your own computer, where like the MacBook is D&D and building your own computer with like Linux and shit is Pathfinder.
That kind of tracks, actually.
Yeah, like in the most complimentary way. Like it's yeah.
There's so many cool mechanics in Pathfinder,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so many ways that like Pathfinder and D&D kind of intersect. Especially with like Critical Role was originally
Mm-hmm.
a Pathfinder game for Vox Machina, and now they converted it to 5e. So there's a lot of things that like Matt Mercer as a Pathfinder GM has carried over into 5e when they made the switch for streaming, which is really, really cool.
I'd love to you just kind of mentioned that, you know, you started with that 6 sessions of 3.5, but how did that start? Like, how did this hyper-fixation begin for you?
So, my best friend in high school, I was talking about voice acting, and I just happened to list like 6 names that were all cast members of Critical Role. Because I mentioned I was like, at the time, he still is, but like Matt Mercer was my absolute favorite voice actors. Mm-hmm. Now he's one of my favorites because there's so many that I'm like aware of, and I was aware of a lot. But I was just like, it was during a period of time where I was trying to get everybody and their grandma to watch a playthrough of The Last of Us, like that 8-hour marathon movie that's all the cutscenes and the like the environmental storytelling and everything like that, because The Last of Us is such a beautiful story. I've loved it since it came out, and the fact that my mother was able to talk to me about it because there's a TV show for it was really exciting for me, because I was like, I have been telling you to watch this for 7 years and now it's in a format that you will actually consume. I was like, I win. But yeah, she was like, you should try Critical Role because there's all these voice actors that you really, really love, and they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. And for the longest time, which is really funny to think about now in hindsight, D&D was the nerd line I refused to cross. It was like that was the line in the sand. Because D&D when I was in high school was not cool. It wasn't cool to play D&D. It was starting to become cool by the time I was a senior.
Kind of that post Stranger Things where like they were like, oh, maybe D&D is fun, like that kind of thing was probably
started it, not for me. I was just like, oh, they put D&D into like a thing. Oh, that's like the thing that like sweaty old men play. That was like, that was, you know, the general perception of D&D at the time. And then Critical Role was my first experience of, oh, this is a way you can tell stories. Because I'd never thought about that. And I play video games. I've been playing video games since I was like, I don't know, really small. Because my older brother was really into like my older brother, he's introduced me to like video games. Because we had like a Game Boy Advance and we played Pokemon and we played all these other games. And so like I've always been like a huge advocate for like video games telling stories and video games being art, and like video games were my favorite storytelling medium for a really long time, just because of how interactive it was and how immersive it was, and just like it was so interesting to me. And I'm coming from theater, I'm like, storytelling is huge in that. But with all of that said, like watching Matt Mercer narrate, I got to like, oh my gosh, it's before the Briarwood arc. It's right before the Briarwood arc. It's episode 23 where they return to the Crucible. Welcome, you opened a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It's episode 23 of Critical Role Vox Machina, where they get to the Crucible and they return and Grog wins. And we have the whole like Scanlan pulls the whole like finger mustache, Burt Reynolds, Esquire, I am his lawyer, you need to let him go. There was like a lot of really like great moments, really funny moments, but really great moments. I think that may be also the episode that Victor is introduced in. Don't hold me to that though. The black powder merchant who's like, hey, you want the black powder? You opened such a big rabbit hole.
A floodgate, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it really started with that. And then my friend was just like, oh, you get to make a backstory for your character, and I went, say no more.
Yeah.
There's like 5 pages in that folder somewhere that it's just names and backstories and all like 5 to 7 NPCs that I wrote for a backstory that are all dead. Like, and then I never got to use that character again. I like used bits and pieces of that character, but I was just like, we're gonna not give all of that to whatever DM I have next. I still hand over like 5-page backstories sometimes, but I've gotten really good at being like, here are bullet points.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go from there. And I've been having a lot more fun lately, especially handing the GM as much control as possible, being like, and here's a blank space, and here's a blank space, and here's a blank space. Because in my experience so far, a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
So, and it's very fun. It's a very fun way to be like, oh, this thing in your backstory that you wrote off is just like a nonchalant, like, and then this guy is like somebody, maybe who's important, maybe he's not, and then it's like, no, that NPC is the most important part of your backstory now. Like,
yeah, I love putting in like a little, like, just like a something where it's like, if I could wink through this page at the DM reading this, I'm winking at you like, this is something that you could do to fuck with my character in the best way possible. I love that shit, and I love when my players give that to me too, because it's just like it's just little hooks that I can hook into and like bring you into the game and make you more engaged.
My 3 most recent characters, I think I've just before I even started like a shared doc with my GM, I've just been like, okay, let's sit down and let's like talk, because I have a concept.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna go from there, which is really fun way to build a character. Highly recommend.
Yeah, I just shared. Me and Grace are going to be in a Perils and Princesses game together on the Spells and Puzzle podcast. We're recording this Sunday.
This Sunday, yeah. I need to make a character for that.
Last night made. I like wrote up just like a short little backstory and shared it with Jay. Just like, here's some ideas, but like if there's things you want to add or like change, go for it. Like, you know, if you want to fit your narrative, if you want to do something with this little guy.
Oh my god, do I bring back Hobie? Do I make Hobie a pretty princess?
Oh my goodness, you should. I miss Hobie. I loved Hobie.
That would be so funny.
For context, Grace played a character named Hobie in Storybake, my game, for one of the playtests that she was in a couple months ago. That would be great. I am playing the Kitchen Magic Baking Princess.
I'm so excited for Kitchen Magic Baking Princess.
She's great.
You know what? I will say, I know that the party that played that Storybake playtest with me will really love to see Hobie come back. He was just like he was the silly, like, I had 2 bullet points for Hobie's personality. And I don't even remember what they are because they're on the sheet that I had somewhere, but like, I love that little man so much.
He was great. I would love to see Hobie again. He would be best friends with my princess for sure.
Bet.
Yeah.
Stay tuned so you can go listen to Spells and Whistles to see if Hobie makes an appearance.
We'll see. I would love to. Do you have, since we're talking about like backstories and like stuff like that, and it's something that you're really interested in, do you have like advice to someone if they want to make a more like in-depth backstory? Like, do you have like do you have like a checklist that you go through, or like what is your process, I guess, and like how would you advise?
Damn, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
But yeah, no. So oftentimes I'll have like a concept or an idea that I'm not gonna lie, it comes from a lot of stuff that I watch, where I'll be like, oh, that would be really cool, what if we did this with it? The most, because I know my friends are gonna watch this, so I have to be careful which character I choose to talk about for this. But there was a character that I chose. I could use Melwyn. That's out there. Spoilers for Spells and Whistles, but Melwyn is a warlock that was a warlock. Complicated caster. What is Melwin? I don't know.
Melwin's there.
Melwin's there. Kind of her tagline, I'm not gonna lie. Melwin's a caster whose emotions were taken away by her patron when she was a warlock. And that was just like, I'd written it down off the cuff of just like, okay, here's a story that would be cool, and then here's a class that would work for that. And then it just became a matter of like, what game would it work in? And it kind of works in Spells and Whistles. Like, Anastasia did an amazing job. Anastasia being the GM of Spells and Whistles, my lovely, lovely GM. But Anastasia did a really, really great job. But there's been a lot of like, Melwin's there because Grace just can't figure out what the heck is going on with her. And I think like that's also kind of a valid way of playing. It just it happens to be Melwin is a character I play in a public game. There isn't too much of a difference between like how I play in a public game versus how I play in a private game, other than just like Spells and Whistles is so short. There's only so many character beats that can happen. I will say the level of chaos I bring to a game exponentially increases with how short it is. Because if it's a one-shot, all bets are off.
Yes.
I have a little goblin bard named Boot. He's my favorite little bean I've ever made. He's a little ladies' man, but he's just like a boy. I love him. And Boot has never been in a content game yet. I'm waiting.
Too powerful.
He is too powerful. My friend Cryo, who's the DM of Star Lost, really wants to run something that Boot can be in because he's heard like the story of Boot. The first one shot I ever played him in, he died because he got a wand of Orcus and chose crimes, and so he got smited by a paladin. So deserved. But little man's. I don't know if I have advice necessarily, other than just like find the story that you want to tell, I guess. Or find the story that you think would be the most fun to tell with somebody else. Because if it's just a story that just you want to tell, that doesn't always necessarily work out.
Then write a book. Yeah.
But like, find a story that I love making stories that end up being like, I'm gonna cause problems for everybody with this. Like Melwin's Warlock Pact has caused problems for the party now because there's stuff going on. Like, she's not a warlock anymore. What is she? I don't know, but she's something. I do know, but I don't want to. I already dropped the big spoiler because you meet Melwin and she's, you know. I remember being so scared because that's really hard to play, especially in an audio medium. Just like, huh.
Yeah.
It's just a weird thing to try and do, but I don't know. I think I did okay with it. I think somebody who's you know, less in their head about being a character might have done a better job with it than I did.
You did great.
Me, I tried. I tried my best. Come up with a story that you want to tell with somebody and work with your GM. They're there to facilitate that story and will help make it happen, whatever that looks like. I've had a couple of GMs be like, what is like an arc that you want to happen for your character? Which I'd never had in a game before until like a year ago, which is really, really interesting. Like, work with your GM, make something that excites you, and if it doesn't excite you anymore, like, hey, it's a game. We do it for content, and we talk about it all the time in this like big way that almost makes it seem like monolithic in a sense, where it's just like, no, the characters, you may not touch the characters, but like, it's a game. You should be having fun with it. If you're not having fun with it, then, you know, find a way to make it fun for you again, or
do something else. My advice for backstories and just like characters in general is to leave spaces. You know, like
that's a big one,
yeah, like to make sure that you're not like leave space for growth, and also like leave space for like the world to kind of fill in the gaps of your backstory, and like even like there could be times where you don't have this in your backstory, but like, oh, I'm just gonna mention this in game, and like there it's there. You just yes-anded that into existence. And then also to GMs, kind of you mentioned this point. It's like don't be afraid to just message your players and be like, hey, I want to like engage you in this story more. What's something you want to happen to your character with your character that would like be exciting to you? I try to do that with all of my players at some point. Just because that's more fun for everyone.
Yeah, no, it's a great time.
Yeah. I think that's all the questions I have for you. So I think that brings us to our game portion of the interview. Today I have a game for you that I am calling Playlist Plundering.
Ooh, good name.
I definitely, thank you. I wanted to do something musical themed, of course. And I guess first, are you a person who makes playlists for your characters? Are you like, do you pick songs for your characters?
Me literally looking at the folder I have on Spotify labeled characters.
So no.
So obviously no. Actually, no. I definitely make playlists for my characters. It takes me a while sometimes because there's always like the like 4 to 7 session kind of like settling in of a new campaign.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit harder. Like with a one shot, it's always a little bit harder because like you have to be like, here's your character, and then whatever comes out of your mouth at the beginning of the one shot, that's the character.
Yeah.
Which is
There's no going
fun.
back.
A little bit scary. But like, oh boy, here you go. But yeah, no, I love making playlists for my characters because I basically think in music a lot of the time. So like usually I'll have something going, even if it's just like ambiance. I play every single game with like some kind of soundtrack, or like I have an entire folder that's just like various D&D ambiance playlists that I've like been putting together with friends of mine, which is part of the reason why being in the composers thing is really crazy, because a lot of those people were in my playlists before I joined that server, and now I have so many more because they're all so lovely, and I met even more people. I don't talk in that server. I really should. I don't. It's bad.
Put yourself out there. But anyways, for Playlist Plundering, I have here 4 character descriptions. It's very vague character descriptions. I will read them out to you one by one, and then I want you, Grace, to tell me a song or even just like an artist or an album that you think fits the vibe of that character.
Okay.
And you can talk it out if you want to, like, oh, I think they'd be this genre. We can can figure it out together a little bit too. Yeah. How level like 1 to 10? How confident do you think you are in this?
I am decently confident, so I would say like maybe like a 6.
Okay, take it. We'll see. That's
like more
I'm gonna
than
see that
50%, less than 80. So
okay. Let's see. Let's hopefully, that'll bump up as we start playing. So our first character is a warrior with a troubled past, seeking revenge on the warlord who destroyed their village.
seeking revenge on the warlord. Okay.
Something angsty. Something.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. You said warrior, and I've been on such a big pop punk kick lately, which never goes away, but in the last few days especially, just really been going for it. I got 4 Marianas Trench songs and then a bunch of Fall Out Boy right after each other in my playlist at one point, and I have not recovered in the last few days from that. So it's just been that with what I'm listening to. But warrior, I immediately think kind of epic sounds, especially revenge plots are always very dramatic music, right?
Yeah.
So immediately jumped to pop punk. It was not quite the vibe really. Good for revenge music, but not necessarily here. I'm immediately jumping to. I've been listening to a fuck ton of Epic the Musical lately, and especially with that confrontation. I'm specifically thinking of the Cyclops saga, and the what is this song called? I think it's just called Polyphemus. Polyphemus.
Polyphemus?
Polyphemus.
It's all Greek to me.
The Cyclops.
Yeah.
The Cyclops' name. They say Polyphemus, but I've
Mm.
also like heard it Polyphemus, so I'm
Mhm.
like, Greek names are the Greek mythology names confuse me. Names confuse me in general, especially fantasy names. Oh boy. Anytime I'm in a game, I'm always like, spelling, please. Sorry.
Language of origin. Can you use it in a sentence? Yeah.
Yeah, no, like this, especially names. I love names so much. I love etymology and language and names, but boy, am I bad at spelling sometimes. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking like that big kind of like epic chorus sort of sound. You know what I'm thinking of about? I'm realizing as I'm describing it more and more, it's literally just like half of the songs in the soundtrack for God of War, specifically Ragnarok. Whereas you have this really epic soundtrack, you have this really epic choir going, and obviously Kratos is like our archetypical barbarian man, sort of. He's not really archetypical, that was a bad word as used to describe Kratos. Kratos is the amazingly written character. Highly recommend God of War, one of my favorite games of all time. But
Controversial take that God of War is good? What?
oh my god, controversial take. God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok are good? What? I should have worn. I have the Blades of Chaos earrings. I should have worn them.
Okay. So are we going with God of War soundtrack?
I think we're going God of War. Like Bear McCreary does such a good job with that soundtrack. You can't.
That totally works. I can totally see that. That's very warrior seeking revenge. Like that's that works. Yeah.
Stumbled on so many hyper-fixations. So sorry.
It's all good. It's a minefield. It's fine. Second character I have is a noble woman who spends their free time as a mercenary for hire. So some like little double-edged, two sides of a coin situation. Femme
The
fatale.
first place my brain jumped to is so funny though.
Oh god.
Like before you said femme fatale, my brain immediately went Andre Desplat, fucking Wes Anderson soundtrack. Not the vibe, but really funny.
Maybe
Man, femme fatale. Brain. What's it? I like know so much media and I don't at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are examples of a femme fatale that I can think of? Immediately jumps to like, oh, it would be really good actually. Welcome to Grace has a lot of video soundtracks that she really fucking loves. The like Persona 5 has a lot of really good music because it's the whole thing with the game is like themes, right?
Yeah.
But they have like really good music for like intrigue and stuff like that. But for a noble lady, what might work a little bit better for a noble lady would be oh gosh, what's his name? I think it's Stravinsky. We took a hard left turn. Hey,
I'm with you.
Like the one Stravinsky waltz that everybody knows that's like very dramatic and very sweeping. When I think of like nobility, I always think of waltzes because waltzes are like such a status dance. It's like very high society music, very pretty, very elegant for all these beautiful balls, and they're very fun to write. Fun fact, I love writing waltzes. Like that kind of, those very beautiful sweeping strings, like a melancholic kind of sort of cello. I'm really like leaning into like Enola Holmes, specifically the second one. There's a Millie Bobby Brown movie where she infiltrates a ball. She goes to a ball, she dances at a ball, and she's you know, there's like the very pretty string music, very dramatic music that picks up like the intrigue. That's definitely currently with that.
Okay.
I guess my answer is Enola Holmes soundtrack.
Sure. Yeah, why not? Yeah, if Stravinsky did the Enola Holmes soundtrack, we'll go with it for sure.
What a combination.
Hey, yeah. Cool. Our next one is a Goblin Knight pirate who sails the seas with a crew of only small races. There's a pirate ship filled with kobolds and goblins and halflings and like, yeah.
Firework. The firework sequence from the 5th Harry Potter movie, where the Weasley twins are like setting off all the fireworks. They have that big dragon firework, and they have like the really fun strings going. That's immediately where my brain went. Alternatively, oh gosh, what is it? Something Toby Fox, and I'm blanking on if it's Undertale or Deltarune because they're kind of
Megalomania.
No. No, there's like a little Duke song you did.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think it's Undertale. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, it's the start screen where it's like the like
yeah.
Like it's the start screen, which is a version of the main title thing. It's like I think it literally is just called like the main title. For Undertale, because like there's different iterations. Hey, fun. This is you stumbled into another mind trap because I talked about the leitmotifs of Undertale for my music degree. I talked about safety tools in D&D, in theater, and how we can use them in D&D for my theater degree because I had to do 2 senior thesis projects in the same year. The worst thing. Anyway, but. Yeah, the once like I ended up calling it like the Once Upon a Time motif, which is what plays in the intro music. That's the music that plays on the start screen, and there's like several different iterations of it. So you have like the really kind of like sad one that plays when it's just like a once upon a time a human fell into the underground, and then when you're putting in your name on the start screen, it's like the do 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 do. Like a really, really chill little thing. It was a really bad rendition of that. Go listen to it, please. Don't listen to me sing. But yeah, that's definitely my answer. Just like little guys' music.
Yeah, something boppy, Toby Fox, totally.
Yeah.
Cool.
Alternatively, there's like a guy who's been doing a lot of like little gremlin music. I don't know. It's like it's like. Could not remember the name for the life of me. If I remember it, I'll send it to you, and you can put it in like we'll put it somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
There's this guy on TikTok who's been making a lot of little just like gremlin-y music, and then people will comment. It's like 3 kobolds in a trench coat doing like XYZ.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his ad, but yeah. If I find it, I'll put it somewhere on the screen. That works.
Immediately when we're done now, because it's gonna bother me so much. But like that kind of music, like little guys' music, little men, little dudes.
That's little guy core is what that is. For our final character, we have a hunter who spent their whole life in the wilderness alone, but is now adjusting to city life.
Ooh.
A little George of the Jungle. A little.
Yeah. Goodness. The places my brain goes in terms of like one of like the little Rolodex of like movies and video games and media, my brain immediately was just like, yes, Steve Rogers emerging into New York City at the end of the first Captain America, but I don't know if there's any music that actually plays there, or if it's just like a dramatic
sweeping.
I think it's just like a dramatic sting that happens at the end of the movie where it's just like, he's in the modern world.
Yeah.
So like. Not quite. Adjusting to modern life. Definitely something kind of like techno-y a little bit, or at least like on a more like, or like kind of just depends on like what degree of like modern city you're kind of leaning into, because you could lean into like more techno-y stuff, which is what we associate with cities now, or you could go full ass like Gershwin and be like, I hear horns, I hear a huge brass section. So
I think almost like a little like Avatar: Legend of Korra when she first gets to Republic City. Like a little bit of
Yeah.
that, maybe, because there's like
Yeah.
there's like almost a Gershwin-esque vibe to the music they have in Republic City too, because it has that kind of like jazzy. I love Gershwin so much, so that's my special interest. So that's
I adore Gershwin so
Mhm.
much, especially just like thinking about city sound a little bit. I'm like, we could lean Philip Glass, but that's not quite like. I'm thinking New York now because I've come like started in Gershwin. Yeah, no, I think the Korra angle when she first arrives at I forget the name, is it New Republic City?
Republic City, yeah.
Republic City. I think that's the vibe. I think that's it. I think you hit the nail on the head there.
Oh, good. I played my own game well, I guess.
Hey, we'll see it.
But yeah, that's it. Those are the characters. I think you did very good. You caught the vibes very good in those. We made up new styles of music and
I'm so
just went
excited
with
for
it.
like the one person who's like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna look up all of the music that goes around like this giant word vomit, and I'm just gonna, so for whoever decides to do that, good luck.
Have fun. Great, thank you so much for playing. That brings us to our
Fun.
TTRPG Spotlight section, where I give you a chance to shine a spotlight on something happening in the TTRPG world that you want other people to be excited about. What do you have for us today, Grace?
I just want people to be excited about the musicians, honestly, because I'm friends with these people now, in a sense. Like, I don't get to talk to them very much because I'm very awkward and very shy when it comes to talking to people sometimes. So if I met you at PAX Unplugged and you gave me your card, or I gave you my card, or you got like a dragon, and we're mutuals now, and I haven't said anything, it's because I am a very anxious human being that doesn't know how to initiate conversations in a normal way. I'm pretty sure the first thing I said to Dan when he added me on Discord was "fuck yeah, friendship." So
I can scroll to it right now and see. Yeah.
But like, so many people are doing cool things. Emmeline was working on like an album, that I think is either out or it's coming out soon. But I know that was in the works. Wes just released a really, really cool song, based on a scene that from a clip of Abigail the Nerd, playing. I think that's who it was. If I got that wrong, I'm so sorry, Wes. I should know better. I really love your music. It's really good. I promise. It's really cool. It's All I Breathe is the one that came out recently, which is Wes and Abigail the Nerd, apparently, according to the credits on here. Now that I'm looking at Spotify. But like, that's such a good song. It's so fun. All of it's like all these people. There's so many more people that are doing music, that like I'm not mentioning off the top of my head because I immediately jumped to like Friends. But like Matt Denkel's always puts out bangers. He has a way with words that is incredible. And he writes really catchy music. He does his raps, and he's really, really good at it. And I don't understand how his brain works, and I would love to pick his brain again sometime because man, Denkles is cool.
He's on the
like twice.
He's on the Pokemon TTRPG podcast, Unbeatable, and he did the opening theme for that. And that gets stuck on my head for like a day at least every time I watch an episode or listen to an episode of that.
It's so cool good. Music.
Yeah.
Like him and West and Emmeline, like they're the people I've like immediately come to mind. They're so cool. And I'm so lucky I got to meet them. I'm so happy I got to meet them. Like again, I missed at PAX Unplugged 22. I missed the composers panel. I missed like the music panel. And then I got to meet them. And that was bananas. That was bonkers. Like, I got to meet Will Savino, and Will Savino's cool. And I messaged Will because I played a D&D session like a week later where my friend was using his music. And I took a picture and I was like, that's my friend! Because I'm me. Hi.
Hey. Yeah, well, thank you for shining a spotlight, or several spotlights, as it were, which is great.
Just go look for TTRPG musicians.
Yeah.
Listen to their shit because it's cool. Because there's a lot of creators that also do music. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like Maisie Lynn has music out,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maisie Lynn's done music. I didn't know that until I became until after watching a few Maisie streams. And Maisie was like, yeah, and I'm gonna sing.
My
I was
EP
like,
is being.
sing?
No kidding. No.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear me sing. It's fine.
I want to hear you sing. I think that would be very fun.
We'll do a private session at some point, I'm sure.
Karaoke at Gen Con?
We'll
Maybe?
after. I'd love to now also give you a chance to talk about what you have going on, if you have any projects that you can talk about, or just anything that where people can see you on the internet, where people can find you.
Off the top of my head, I don't know what I am and I'm not allowed to talk about, as we have established. I may have said too much on things. I may have not said enough on other things. I don't know.
If you said too much, it's been cut out, so they don't know what you're talking about. It's fine.
And it's fine. I've been trying to get back into streaming again, because I like playing video games, and it's a cheater way for me a little bit to feel like I'm being productive, even though I'm just, in reality, I'm sitting at my computer playing video games, basically talking to myself. But like, it's fun, and I enjoy it. My friends and I have been playing Sunhaven lately, which, if you don't know what Sunhaven is, it's basically just Stardew Valley, but fantasy. And it's really fun!
Sounds fun.
I've never played Stardew Valley, but that was the description I was given, and from what I know about Stardew Valley, it is very similar. It's very fun, and then we've been playing a lot of that. I am trying to work up the courage to run something, because I've DM'd twice, and it was scary, and I don't know what I'm doing, ever, which, again, we're learning more and more. Most people don't. A lot of people are just a lot better at, pretending that they know what they're doing. I'm working on music. I'm always working on music, but I'm working on music to release, and I'm, a lot of it is just like, I am just constantly in a war of fighting with my brain to get things done and to do the things that make me happy, and stuff like releasing music. Yeah. It's exciting to release music. It's terrifying to release music. But, I've been posting songs on TikTok since 2021, I want to say. Like, publicly posting songs on TikTok for people to hear. And it took me until February to start actually, like, putting stuff out, even if it was, like, in a semi-state of readiness at any given point. Now that I've done it, it was very much like you've done it once. Now you just have to do it again. And keep doing it. The thing I really need to get better at is promoting myself. I'm really bad at it.
Everyone is bad at that. That's the one thing I can tell you for a fact. No one is good at promoting themselves. So don't feel bad about that.
With the music, none of my friends knew I was releasing music until it was already out. And I've gotten a lot of what the fuck grace in the last little bit because of it, which is really funny. And part of me is just like, okay, but how funny would it be if we just leaned into that and just never told anybody, and then just released music and let that be the way to do it? But that's not, that's not how it's not a great way of doing it. It's just a funny way of doing it.
I mean, my parents didn't know I had a Kickstarter for my game cookbook until like 5 days before the Kickstarter ended. So
there you go. Yeah, I mean, I'm around. I'm doing things. And generally just existing and trying to do things more, which is hard.
You've also once again forgotten to bring up spells and whistles as your like.
It's okay. So the spells and whistles is going into summer schedule soon, which I am less involved in because it is the mini series. Like, I'm a little bit involved in helping with editing, you are like I'm playing in one, and then other than that, it's just like behind the scenes logistics things in terms of like the actual scheduling. As you've seen, we handle it very much like the person who is running that game is the person that is in charge of the logistics for that game, and then like I am the backup support editor for people that need a little bit of like that they don't have time or just need extra hands to be like, hey, can you go through and just like do the first pass, or hey, can you just straight up do this episode. So yeah, no, I have once again forgotten to bring up those. Listen, you would think I'd be better, because usually when it's like me and a group, I'm really good about it, being like, hey, spells and whistles are great, spells and whistles, I'm on spells and whistles, but now I'm like, it's just me here.
Listen, hey, I'm here to remind you. That's fine.
I'm so bad at promoting myself. It's comical at this point.
Well, hey, I will promote you for you. Everyone, check out Grace. Everything that they're doing, all the links and everything that you can find them at, will be down in the description below. They're amazing. They make amazing music, and they're just an amazing person all around. And I'm very happy that I've gotten to know you. And gotten to know you more over the last like hour or so that we've been talking. But yeah, thank you so much, Grace, for coming on and talking with me. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you guys had as good a time listening to us ramble as we did. Make sure you stick around here at Open Table Adventures for all of our other content, our other interviews, our one-shots and actual plays, our recipes, and so much more. As always, I've been Dan the Baker. This has been Open Table Adventures, and you are always welcome to pull up a seat. Bye-bye!